Good morning. Okay, I know it's Monday morning, but good morning. Thank you. I'm Mindy Tate, CEO of Franklin Tomorrow, and welcome to the June 9th Frank Talks. And we appreciate the hospitality of Williamson County Government and the Williamson County Enrichment Center. This is a great facility right in our downtown area. It's used for a lot of things. A lot of the Rotary clubs meet here now, the Franklin Noon and the Downtown Evening Club. So it's a great facility. And for those of us who are now considered seniors, it's a great facility for a workout location in place on a daily basis. So we appreciate the hospitality of Williamson County Government. So I know you all got coffee, and I want to say thank you to Franklin Smith from Frank's Strawberry Shortcake, who provided you with some samples back there. And Frank says if you didn't get one before you sat down, be sure and get some on the way out so you can have those with you today. And those are wonderful, and it's great to support local business in our community. And I mean, who doesn't like, it's strawberry season, and who doesn't like strawberries? So thank you, Frank. So I'm going to have Nancy Conway come up. She's behind me. Don't fall on these wires, and do her Did You Know for us today.
Thank you, Mindy, and good morning, everyone. And I appreciate you being here and supporting Franklin Tomorrow and all of its programs. Okay, it's my duty to present to you the quiz question. So, okay, Eric, it involves City Hall. So beware. You know, City Hall has recently been taken down because they're going to build a new one. Okay, you've got some supporters back there. All right, now, the city of Franklin moved City Hall into that building when it was, or had been, the Harpeth Square Mall. It was a shopping mall. And that's when the city of Franklin moved in and was there all these years. Now, here's your quiz question, and that is, where was City Hall before it moved into the area there on the square?
Oh, come on. Alan? Are you waving your hand in the back? Or Tony is, okay.
Tony? It was Bethlehem Henry and Robinson Funeral Home at 604 West Main Street, where Stites and Harbison Law Firm is today. Congratulations.
Great, thank you so much.
You gotta take a drink.
Go this way.
That funeral home, the city hall, that joke writes itself. Funeral home to city hall, city hall,
It just writes itself. All right, thank you so much, Nancy. We appreciate that. So Franklin Tomorrow, our mission is to engage the community, foster collaboration, and advocate for a shared vision for the future of Franklin. And we do that through our programming, which includes our monthly Frank Talks lecture, as well as our quarterly breakfast with the mayors. The next one will be July 29th at Rolling Hills. Most of those are free. All of our events are free. Those two events are free. So we encourage you, if you don't already, follow us on social media or look for us in the Williamson Herald, or our website is franklintomorrow.org. And it's not on the agenda, but I'm going to say a big thank you to Emily Grayson, who has been our operations and programs administrator for almost the last 4 years. And Emily's last day with us is July 20th. So we are going to miss her great skills in putting everything together. So well done, so nicely done, and what a great person to work with. And we are going to miss her, but we wish her well in her new adventure in the private sector. Some of you all missed out, okay? Let me tell you. So we are excited for her, but we just want to thank her for her hard work for making all these events so successful. The other people who help us make things successful are our partners, and they help us keep these events free. We have some sustaining partners who are involved in all of our events, and our first sustaining partner is Atmos Energy, and Christina Christensen is here, and Christina and Atmos are very involved in the community, so a big thank you to them for their support. Additionally, Reagan Smith, which is a Pape Dawson company, is also a sustaining partner. And they have offices in many places across the country, but also they have an office down in Berry Farms. They're on that cutting edge of being down in the next new frontier of Franklin to the south, so we appreciate that. And then our great partners at Williamson Health, we appreciate them so much for being a sustaining partner with us. And I'm going to ask Greg Broy to come up and talk to us about National AED and CPR Awareness Week.
Thank you, Mindy. Actually, what I want to do first is I've got a did you know. Did you know that Williamson Health, together with the Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, provides at no cost to high schools in Williamson County athletic trainers? No charge. And because of that, thank you. Lindsay Sullivan is also here with the Bone and Joint Institute. Lindsay, thank you for being here as well. Because of that, we have a great opportunity to help fund that program, which is our annual golf tournament at the Nashville Golf and Athletic Club. August the 18th, it's going to be an afternoon opportunity. Just go to our website for more information. So that's my did you know today. Secondly, a statistic for you, 9 and 10. 9 out of 10 people in sudden cardiac arrest who receive a shock from an AED device will survive. It's National AED and CPR Awareness Opportunity this month. We're going to take a look at a video we showed to you last year, so some of you may have seen this before, but it's a great message.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
We are inside the Williamson County 911 Center, where these public safety dispatchers take nearly 500 calls a day.
Your mom's not breathing?
Many of these calls are medical emergencies, including cardiac episodes. Take it from us, you don't need to be a medical professional to save a life. Almost anyone can use an AED and perform CPR. As a matter of fact, AEDs can be found in many public places across the community, and they provide clear, step-by-step instructions so that anyone can use them effectively. In a moment, I'll show you how. Every year in the United States, over 350,000 cardiac arrests occur at home or in public places outside of the hospital setting. National statistics show that immediate CPR and AED usage can double or even triple a person's chance at survival. But that only happens when people like you, citizens, who are willing to act, step in. Here's what you can do in an emergency. First, if you see someone collapse, quickly assess the situation. Are they breathing? Are they responsive? If not, action is needed immediately. Seconds count. Call 911 right away to get professional help on the way. Don't hesitate. The sooner you call, the sooner help will arrive. And simultaneously, the 911 dispatchers can guide you with step-by-step instructions.
Is there an AED available?
Yes, there's an AED on the wall. I'll go get it.
If there's an AED nearby, use it quickly. All you have to do is turn it on and follow the voice prompts.
Connect electrodes.
You have nothing to fear. The machine will guide you through the process and will only deliver a shock if it's necessary. Remember, your actions can make the difference between life and death.
Stand clear.
Clear.
Analyzing now.
You might feel nervous or unsure. That's normal, but your involvement gives the person the best chance at survival until emergency services arrive. Williamson Health EMS and our public safety partners consider it a privilege to provide you with an exceptional EMS system. However, the chain of survival starts with you. We encourage every citizen to take a few moments to learn more about AED usage and CPR. Together, we can save lives.
thank you to Williamson Medical Center. We also want to let you know that Vanderbilt Health and Williamson Medical Center partner to have walk-in clinics across Williamson County. And we've got Jeff here today. They've got some stress balls. Who's stressed out by having the kids home for summer? Okay. Yeah, need a few of those. So just a lot going on in your life, but the Vanderbilt Health and Williamson Medical Center walk-ins are conveniently located and great place for you can't get into your, sometimes it's hard. You have to plan to be sick so you can get an appointment with your doctor. I don't know. Walk-ins are great, and we appreciate their support as well. And finally, our presenting partner for Frank Talks is Renaissance Bank. I did that wrong. Oops, so Emily's going to have to stop me. Sorry, Emily. Ooh, this is going to be hard. We want to bring up Diane LeBlanc from Diane, come this way. It's a little easier. From Renaissance Bank, our presenting partner for Frank Talks.
Yeah, we can do some jumping over the... Good morning. Thanks for being here this morning. A wonderful crowd I see out there. Wanted to make sure you guys know Renaissance Bank, over 140 years old. We are located here on Columbia Avenue across from our beautiful police station. Wanted to introduce Harrison Crabtree over here in the far right, our Williamson County president. And then we got Tina Anderson over here in the red, so we can spot her this morning. She's our branch manager of our Columbia Avenue office. We understand there can sometimes be some stressful times, and so we like to bring a little humor to banking, which you don't typically see, but hopefully this video will bring some humor instead of a little stress on Monday. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, everybody. I brought treats for everybody, so I'll just leave them here on the communal table. Make sure everybody gets one, okay? We've been over this. Stop leaving your dirty dishes in the sink. It's disgusting. All right, great meeting. Very productive, thank you. That could have been an email. Hey, I'm gonna go grab some lunch if y'all wanna... Oh, y'all are lunch bunching without me? No, that's fine. No, I brought leftovers. Oh, so cute. Hey, can I do something for you? Hey, someone get their dead squirrel out of the microwave. I need to heat up my pizza. Hey, can you keep it down out there? Some of us actually have to do work around here, you know. It's not that I don't like the guy, I just think he's kind of lazy. He's not productive. Hey buddy, I hate to do this, but if we can keep the work chat work-related, that would be great. That was funny though. Alright, I'm taking off. See y'all tomorrow. Good work today.
Hey, honey. How was your day at work?
It was exhausting.
Renaissance Bank, the bank that understands you. Learn more at renaissancebank.com.
Lion Leadership Group, the local McDonald's, is our coffee partner, and they've been partnering with other organizations as well, and we really appreciate Terry Wemke and the folks at Lion Leadership for what they do for the community. So they bring us, we get that coffee every meeting, so that's great. So I'm going to hand the clicker, because this is like, it's everything, to Eric Stuckey and Michael Walters Young from the city of Franklin. Obviously, an important time in the city as we try to figure out what's ahead, but we are all so blessed to live in the city of Franklin. And let's thank Eric and Michael for their work here in our community.
Good morning. Great to have you with us. Mayor Moore's here, Alderman Brown, Alderman Peterson, thanks for being here. They get to hear this stuff
again, sorry. And I know what you're thinking. A budget presentation. How exciting, right? Yeah, exactly. If you're like me and Michael, you could probably barely get to sleep last night. You had the budget binder out. You had the laptop open, some coffee, and probably about 20 of those stress balls all ready to go. But really, it is an important piece of what we do. It really defines what we're focused on in the year to come and beyond. And it really is a way that the board puts its priorities and its policy thoughts into action. And so a budget is really, really important. And so we joke about it. It's something like 485 pages. We're going to do it for you in about 20-some slides today, and then glad to take any questions you have at the end, and we'll just jump in and talk budget. So there we go. So we start with a series of budget goals that the board sets for us kind of near the end of the calendar year leading into our July 1 fiscal year, and sets the tone for the budget. And of course, we want to make sure we are in line with a strong financial base that is Franklin's hallmark. We're a AAA rated city, both by Standard & Poor's and Moody's, which puts us in a group of probably only about 100 cities across the country. And then when you look at cities with double AAA ratings that are actually growth cities, that's a much, much smaller group even then, because a lot of AAA cities are kind of built out and inherently stable in that way. We're unique. I mean, there's literally a handful of cities that we look at that are experiencing the kind of growth we are that are also in that AAA category. So that's a foundation. But the board articulates we want to maintain strong, high-quality services. We want to be investing in the future. We want to be highly competitive. We recognize that people can live almost anywhere these days. They can build their business. They can visit. Lots of choices. We want to be that place people choose. And that is not an accident. That takes investment, that takes long-term thinking, and the budget is really a backbone for all of that. So let's hit the numbers right up front. The total budget for all funds is $243 million. That's a slight decrease from what we have today, just under 3% down. And then the general fund is at $128 million, and that's about 9.7% increase, 6% or so of which is tied to specific investments in capital projects, large projects, infrastructure, et cetera. And we'll talk more about that as we talk about really kind of the unique component of this budget and probably the biggest policy choice that's facing the board there. All right, so we are in a reappraisal year. I know you all know that because you got the little postcard, right? So here's what that means in the big picture. Our current assessed valuation, tax basis assessed valuation, is at $7.6 billion. The reappraised number, updated number, is over $3 billion more. It's at $10.75 billion of assessed valuation. So that's a big jump in a 4-year period. Countywide is actually percentage-wise a little larger than that. But what that does is we think about what a penny of property tax generates. And in the structure we have today, the current assessed valuation, a penny generates about $750,000. Under this updated evaluation or property assessment, it goes to over $1 million per penny. What that means on the rate, they sort of equalize the rate, meaning bring the rate down so that it does not generate any more capacity than it does today at the current rate. So the current 32.61 cents goes down to about 23 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. So if we do nothing, that rate goes down, and that's when we look at kind of recalibrating the rate, thinking about it. And so
Eric, is that residential only, or is that residential and commercial?
that is across the whole entire tax base. Now there's a fundamental difference in how properties are, the appraisal factor. Commercial property is a 40% and residential property is a 25% of your appraised value. So there is a difference between commercial and residential, and that formula has commercial pay a larger share relative to their value than residential does. But this is an across-the-board rate. Okay, so you may recall in 2016 we made an initiative at this same time when we were looking at reappraisal, and we dedicated a dime of property tax to what we call Invest Franklin, and it has served us very well. And we're looking at doing that again in what we're calling Invest Franklin 2.0. It's kind of like that software package you have. It needs to be updated to continue to meet the needs going forward. And that's what we're looking at, is how we do that, how we support especially investment in infrastructure, and how we meet operational needs going forward to a property tax rate that has not been adjusted in 9 years. So specifically, we're looking at dedicated funding. We were fortunate in that the Tennessee Department of Transportation has put us on their capital project list for a partnership to widen Mack Hatcher Southeast. So from Murfreesboro Road down to Columbia, to widen that from 2 lanes to 4. But it takes local partnership. The state of Tennessee's looked at being more aggressive in partnering with private sector to deliver projects, especially road enhancements, and local governments can play in that space too. So we are one of only 14 local projects that were selected as partnership projects across the state for the widening of Southeast Mack Hatcher. Now, when we were putting this budget together, we also put a similar proposal in for Northwest. So the capacity we put in would support both those projects. So that's what we looked at as we proposed this. Right now, as it stands, Southeast is the only piece in their 10-year plan. But we're at least glad to have that component moving forward to help with infrastructure and help with traffic congestion and address that and really make the system work far better. We also have the ability to invest in some other capital investment projects. Our current 10-year plan is a little over $500 million. There's a similar amount that is not funded that has been identified as needs across our project landscape, largely about 3/4 of those in the transportation realm. Other elements are facilities, et cetera. Also city services. As we grow, we have the need to add some additional capacity in terms of services to make it work. And like I said, Invest Franklin that we adopted 9 years ago has been the backbone of an expanded 10-year plan for investing in the community that has grown to over $500 million of projects overall and how we deliver those. So here's the breakdown of that rate. We've proposed within the budget a 32-cent tax rate, so a slightly less rate than it is today, but it starts with the foundation of the existing operations and projects that are supported with the existing rate, which is that 23.1 cents. And then the Invest Franklin 2.0 initiative is about 6.8 cents of tax capacity, and then the balance 2.1 cents is for operations, and we'll talk a little more specifically about that. The other funding component that we're looking at is an increase in the hotel motel tax, the occupancy tax there. It's currently at 4% in the city, and we have, from a private act over 20 years old, allows us to go up to 5%. So we're looking to expand that from 4% to 5%. That will generate about $1.2 to $1.3 million a year. By policy, the board has used those funds for projects that relate to tourism. You think about the conference center itself that we have in Cool Springs, the acquisition of property due the Harlansdale Farm project, that's funded by hotel motel tax dollars. Eastern Flank, funded by hotel motel tax dollars. Lots of other parks projects have had that component to make them happen. So we're looking at how we can continue to do that and put that in there. So let me give you a little bit of additional context about what our taxes are, what it means, especially from the city of Franklin. So if you're the owner of a $1.1 million home, which is what the average assessment showed, you're paying a little over $600 a year in city of Franklin taxes. What this would mean to you is that would take that number up to a little bit over $800 a year, or 63 cents a day to the owner of a $1.1 million home. So we don't take lightly the impact and importance of setting a tax rate, and that those dollars come from our residents. But we see the opportunity to impact our road network, to impact our facilities, and meaningfully maintain and build on the quality of life that is Franklin's hallmark in the next at least 4 years and beyond. This tax rate we've lived with for 9 years. I could see a very similar approach with what we're looking at now in terms of helping us meet needs, both from an operational standpoint, but especially in terms of investing in key projects. All right, so let me give you some overview of what's in the budget, some key components, and then I'll hand it off to Michael to go through what you've all been waiting for, it's charts and graphs. So stay tuned for that. So the budget is of course balanced. It fully complies with the policies the board sets around reserves and our debt service and all those, the debt structure, et cetera. Essential services are maintained and built on, and I just talked about the property tax rate, which even at 32 cents is the lowest of any city over 50,000, the lowest rate of any city with a population of 50,000 or greater across the state of Tennessee, and the lowest among the cities we compare ourselves from a competitiveness basis when we look at economic projects and just high quality communities. All right, the budget does include 10 new positions, 8 of which are in the general fund. Those 8 positions are 3 police officers on shift, 3 firefighters on shift, and an additional police employee that is a victim support counselor. We find that there's additional need when people go through whatever, whether it's crime, whether it's just a terrible tragedy in their family, that our officers do a wonderful job that day, that night, that 24-hour period. But there's a day and a week and a month and a year following that, and we want to have an outlet to help provide support for people that have gone through a tough time and connect them to other community resources that can help them. And so this is a position that can kind of help serve both that need to provide some additional support and connect them with other community resources that help you in moving forward. 2 other places where we've added positions outside the general fund. Well, we do have one other IT systems position that's in the general fund, but then we're also adding an equipment operator within water management, or within sanitation, I'm sorry, because we're needing to expand a route because of the growth in the community for our sanitation services, and then a fiscal affairs officer within our water management. It's a $50+ million utility that we operate, and we want to have that dedicated fiscal affairs person, similar to what we have in police and fire, to help them day to day. We're maintaining the level of insurance premiums, and we're adjusting deductibles for the first time for employees in a long time. So we're really holding the line there. The budget itself helps us with a key component, which is we update our compensation plan every 3 years is our goal. And last year we made some adjustments for our police and fire team members to put them in a more competitive position in the market. We want to be in the 90th percentile overall. And we've done that for the rest of our team members to make sure we are attracting and retaining the best talent to serve the community. That helps us be more efficient as well when we get highly talented people that do their job really, really well. Overall, there's a base pay increase, market increase for our employees at 2.5%, and then an additional layer that is based on performance that is a 0.5% to 2.5%. So people will be anywhere between 3% and 5% increase based on their performance at the city in terms of our team. All right, we do have an included $2 bump in the sanitation rate, the monthly rate there. That has actually already been approved by the board, but that is in there. That is a fully self-sufficient fund now. That's something we've looked at for a long time. So ratepayer fees fully support that operation. It's very similar to the water and sewer utility now in terms of being self-sufficient. And then finally, we do have water and sewer rate increases in the 5% and 6% range, consistent with the rate plan that has been brought before the board. All right, as I talked about hotel motel tax moving 1%, 4 to 5%, that should provide key support for projects in the tourism space, especially like you look at our parks projects and et cetera, that'll be a key support there. We've also throughout this budget incorporated performance measures. We don't want to just talk about what we spend. We're going to talk about what we deliver and how we do it. And we do try very hard to benchmark ourselves against other key measures from other communities, national standards, other elements to make sure we're performing at a very, very high level. All right, I think it's Michael's turn. You ready? All right, let's go. So Michael is our budget and performance, chief budget and performance officer. He does a great job working with the city and working with all those numbers and working with our budget team and leaders across the whole organization that piece together a pretty complicated budget but really tries to translate it into a way that is meaningful, useful, and helpful to both our citizens, but the board as they're making these key decisions. So hand it over to Michael. Take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, Franklin. How are we? There are several of you who are my Leadership Franklin classmates from this last year, and so what they're about to hear is not going to surprise them. For the rest of you, good morning. My name is Michael Walters Young. I'm your Chief Budget and Performance Officer. We try to make it as easy and accessible as possible that you understand where your money comes from. Because a budget is not a set of numbers, it's not a set of words, it's not a set of measures, it's a reflection of your values. Where you get your money from and how you spend your money reflects who you are, whether that be in the Franklin community, whether that be your business, whether that be your home, whether that be your house of worship. It reflects directly upon who you are. And so on the screen, you can see that this is where we get our money for the general fund. And if you want to follow along, there's a 484-page document up here, or there's a 2-page document that you can take with you at your places. In the general fund, the largest dollars come from the local option sales tax. Over 1 out of every $2 comes from the money that you pay directly when you buy that coffee, when you buy that bottle of water, when you buy groceries, et cetera, et cetera. The second largest, as proposed in this budget, is the property tax. Eric's already talked to you about where that will go. The third largest portion is state shared taxes. That is the portion of what you spend in majority when you pay that bottle of water and coffee. And it goes to the state, and we get a proportionate share back to us. The rest of the budget, call it about 20-ish%, comes from smaller areas, 4.5% off of alcohol taxes, so mixed drink taxes, wholesale beer taxes from sales in restaurants and liquor stores here in Franklin, and then smaller amounts in building permits, franchise fees, grants, etc. Another way to look at the revenues for the general fund, and this is a chart that Eric and I actually prefer, is 7 out of every $10 comes from consumption taxes. Most cities and towns in America and here in Tennessee, that is reversed. Most cities and towns, the majority comes from wealth and assets, or property and income taxes. We, of course, have no income tax here in the state of Tennessee at this point. We do have local property taxes. We have been very fortunate over the years, and we're going to show you a couple more slides, that we have benefited from how we have applied sales taxes in this city to fund the majority of our operations. Now, that has allowed us to keep your property taxes low, but it also causes us to have higher reserves because we are more vulnerable to economic downturns. On the expense side of the general fund, you can see that 44% goes to public safety, 13.7% to public works, 13% or so to finance and administration, 9% to community and economic development, and 3% to governance and management, people like Eric and I. Other operating expenses includes the money set aside for annual wage increases that Eric talked about, and our transfers to other funds. Now, in this budget, that has gone up because we would transfer the money that's raised in the tax increase directly into capital projects. Over $10 million is set aside in this budget as proposed to go directly towards supporting partnership opportunities and capital projects. Another way to look at it is 3 major categories: personnel, operations, and actual sort of capital projects. 68 cents of every dollar goes to our most important asset, our people. We have nearly 800 employees employed by the city of Franklin, Tennessee, and nearly 7 out of every $10 goes to support them, 28% to operations, and about $5 million directly to capital projects. So another way to look at this, if you see 10 years worth of financial performance for the general fund from 2017 to the proposed 2026 budget, you see that the blue bar are the revenues, the red bar are the expenses, and the green bar is fund balance. Fund balance, the amount you have left at the end of the day, has gone up significantly from $43.2 million in 2017 to $89.1 million in 2026. We have set reserve policies in the city of Franklin, Tennessee. And one of those is that 33% of your fund balance of your annual operating revenues must always be maintained to handle contingencies. Catastrophic events, say the tornado goes through Cool Springs. Major economic downturns. If there's a large legal settlement, if there's large healthcare claims that we are not prepared for, we were not anticipating, we need to have that money set aside. That 33% in 2017 was $22 million. That 33% in 2026 is $43 million. So the fact that fund balance has gone up, commensurate with budgets increasing, is a good thing because it allows us to maintain our reserves at an adequate level. Anything over 45% of that $89 million, between $30 and $35 million, is set aside for funding on capital projects. So that is another funding source that we build into our $500 million capital financing model that allows us to go also partner with grant opportunities or build intersections or build trails or build other public assets. As Eric said, in summary, Invest Franklin 2.0 provides additional declared funding for these TDOT partnerships. That is the main bulk of it, as well as trying to invest in our people. 2.1 cents goes to maintenance of operations for the first time in 9 years. This budget gets everybody to 90th percentile. We are very proud that we were a top workplace by the Tennessean last year, I believe. And our goal is to maintain that. We want to be an employer of choice, and in order to do that, we have to remain competitive in still a very, very, very highly competitive labor market here in Williamson County, Tennessee. This graph shows sales taxes in blue versus property taxes in red over the last 10 years. And you can see even with the property tax increase proposed this year, it's still about a 1.8 to 1% ratio that you collect almost 2 times as much sales tax as you do property tax. This has been as high as 2.5 to 1. You'll note, if you're keeping track at home or you're doing the math, as I know several members of the board do very diligently, $25 million or $35 million is not the support that goes into the general fund. Because the city of Franklin does is the first monies provided by property tax goes directly to service our debt. This is a commitment we make to our creditors, and it allows us to maintain that double AAA rating. The property tax is the most stable revenue source on God's green earth because people pay their taxes. And so rather than backing it with sales taxes, we back it with property taxes, and we always pay our debt off on time, which allows us to maintain the highest credit ratings. The balance goes to a little bit to street aid, to resurface roads, and to fund general fund operations. One of our more interesting and favorite charts. So there's death and taxes. This chart shows the property tax rate in the city of Franklin, Tennessee over the last 40 years. It was highest 1987 through 1989 at $2.15. It dropped in 1990. Might be a little off with those numbers. It dropped in 1990. What occurred in 1990 in this community? It's my did you know question. The mall. And overnight, sales tax increases doubled in the city of Franklin, Tennessee. Modern financial history of the city of Franklin, Tennessee started in 1990, 1991. And that's where this really began, where you saw sales taxes increasing to fund operations and property taxes decreasing. Ever since then, it has gone down, except for 3 times, 2015, 2014, 2016, and as proposed here in 2025. There have been 6 decreases in the rate because of revaluation and our mandate under the state constitution that we can't get a dime more in property tax if the values go up. And the board over time decided to take those lower rates. This, in summary, is all funds, just to kind of give you a chart to see just how big this budget can be. There are 15 budgeted funds from the general fund all the way down to water and sewer. We have specialty funds that are used for very limited purposes, such as the drug fund. No, it's not used to buy drugs. It's a fund used by the Franklin Police Department to take care and account for contraband and activities which are found in drug busts. Community Development Block Grant Fund is a federal program set up under the Nixon administration. There are 2 districts in the city of Franklin that qualify for those funds. The Franklin Transit Authority is managed through a separate fund as per federal guidelines. And then there's a whole series of development funds, road impact, city facilities, county facilities, parkland dedication, where we have impact fees that are applied to developers. Those monies can be used to fund capital projects. The Hotel Motel Fund Eric talked about. The most recent fund is the Capital Vehicle Fund, so any fleet vehicles, police cruisers, codes trucks, street trucks, etc. We've created a separate fund in order to try to A, have those replaced more frequently and more regularly, and B, to just get them ordered year over year, because the delays in manufacturing equipment have gotten so bad post-COVID that we've needed to make sure those monies are set aside and that we have access to them year over year. And with that, I think the city administrator would like to finish up.
Thank you, Michael. So let me go back one. So this just sort of summarizes where we are. This budget does support the budget goals articulated by our board. It provides for investing in high quality services, delivering infrastructure. It continues to deliver on projects. We'll cut a ribbon next week on Bicentennial Park. We've got McEwen 4 underway. We've got Pearl Bransford, or the Pearl Park, under construction. So there are significant projects that have been talked about for years and years that are moving, either to completion or into the construction process. So that's really happening. Michael talked about our reserves. We're well above the policy, but well positioned to take any hardships that come our way and provide consistent quality services going forward. So the real policy choices are this summary of where do we want the property tax rate to be, and are we going to bump that hotel occupancy tax? So that's really the key decisions that are before the board, and that's what they'll be working on. We have a public hearing tomorrow night. Here's the process. They voted on first reading the last meeting in May. Tomorrow night will be the public hearing and second reading for discussion there. We also have to do a specific notice to exceed our certified rate. So anything above 23 cents, we have to do a special notice to show that we're making a modification. So that's incorporated in the process as well. And then third and final vote is slated for June 24th. So we'll be hearing from the board, getting guidance tomorrow night, and moving forward with implementing a July 1 effective budget. So I'll stop there, and we will take your questions and feedback. And I'm going to give Mindy that mic, and I'll take this mic. And
So-
Michael and I will share.
I'll start by asking a question. I have lived here since that 1990 and before. We like quality in this community. That doesn't just spring up out of the ground, or you have to pay the 90% in the market rates, that kind of thing. But when was the last tax increase, and how are you making adjustments that need to be done?
Yeah, the last property tax increase was 9 years ago, 2016, and we did a dime at that point of dedicated funding. 7 cents went to essentially our capital investments, or Invest Franklin component of projects, and then 3 cents to operations. So this is fairly similar. 6.8 cents to the capital investment and 2.1 cents to our operations component. So that's the last time we did that. Michael went through that how that rate dropped and those different components, and you saw that comparative, where it's about 2 to 1 sales tax to property tax. About every other city in Tennessee is the inverse of that. Property tax is around 50%, and sales tax is only 20 to 30%. So we have benefited greatly by the production of sales tax that comes out of a high level of commercial activity in Cool Springs and our downtown. So it allows us to maintain a very competitive property tax rate. So that's something we look at. We try to strike the right balance of investing in the right places, projects and people, and that it keeps us in a highly competitive position, and that it's also a really good value for our community. That is an art as much of a science, but we work really hard to try to do that right. And when reappraisal happens, it's a natural time to kind of recalibrate and say, where do we want to be? What kind of capacity do we want to have now and for a significant number of years going forward, and what can we do with it? And is it worth it to set that rate at where it needs to be?
Any questions from the audience? I'm going to bring the mic to you so we can hear that. Any questions? Alan, in the back. Go this way.
You can.
Here, on the
Morning.
expenses pie chart here,
Yes.
this is just a question. What's the difference between governance and management and finance and administration?
Do you want to hit that, Michael?
Sure. So that pie chart summarizes what we call program areas. There's a lot of ways to account for monies in the public sector, and the main way we do it is fund-based accounting, and this is the general fund. Program areas are a way to summarize key categories. So public works has streets and parks and aspects of stormwater functions, what have you. Public safety is pretty easy, that's police and fire. Governance and management is sort of C-suite level functions, if you will. So it's law, it's general administration, it's budget and performance, it's communications. Whereas finance and administration, we would also call support services. So that's finance, purchasing, IT, billing and licensing, facilities management, and HR.
Martin.
I live in Franklin, just outside the city limits, but still, I know Robert Blair well. FSD, I didn't see you mention FSD, and I know a lot of that comes from the state, a little bit from federal. But what can you share with us about funding and budgets for FSD?
Yeah, Franklin Special is a separate taxing entity, so that's a completely different tax decision that board makes independently. So I have to say, I thank God every day that I'm not in the school business, because that's a tough one. And some of my colleagues across the country have both schools and the city side together. We do not. We have a distinct piece there from Franklin Special for K through 8 within most of our community, and then of course Williamson County Schools, and that's somewhere around 2/3, depending on how you want to slice it up, of their budget is in that education realm, whether it's operations or capital as well.
So is our sales tax at the highest level it can be? Can we make more money off the people coming here to shop, or can?
We are tapped out. We are at the maximum. We've got a 2.75% local option that is there, and the voters approved that remaining half cent. Gosh, that was maybe 8 years ago, something like that. Yeah, so 2018. So, and we dedicated the first 3 years of that entirely to the schools. So what happens with local option sales tax is every dollar that's paid in local option, that 2.75%, half of it goes to public education and half of it goes to the city in which it was generated. So every dollar you see that component, that 60+ million of local option sales tax in that general fund budget, the schools are getting a similar amount of 60+ million going to pay for public education.
So Rogers Anderson, county mayor, used to say he went out to, when he wasn't feeling very good, he'd go out to the Cool Springs Galleria and drive through the parking lot and look at where the car tags were from. As long as they weren't from Williamson County, it made him feel pretty good. How is online shopping, and what impact is that having on sales tax collection or on other forms of revenue?
Well, they're subject to the same taxes, and I will give the state of Tennessee huge compliments for how well they have done in collecting that. we were very skeptical when all that was going down, and they have really done a very good job of collecting on online sales and that coming into the community, and it relies on a lot of the same infrastructure to get to you that we fund locally. So they've done an excellent job of collecting that. We get some high-level reports monthly with sales tax, and we see that that is a significant component of our sales tax, and I think the state has really been effective in making sure that those are collected.
So Franklin and Williams County are crisscrossed and cut up by state roads. And a lot of people feel like, well, if Mac-Hatcher needs to be widened, then the state should do that. But there are 95 counties, and each of them have a need. So it's hard for, I think I've had a lot of questions about the funding a state road project. Why do it? And how important is that?
Well, it's the reality now, and it's something I've really kind of resisted getting too involved in paying for state infrastructure. But the reality is, if you want to get it done, you're going to have to get involved in being a partner in funding it. That's just the way it's going to be. And so we've accepted that that's the environment we're in. And so we're being selective and picking the most impactful projects we can and working for ways to partner. And like I said, there's only 14 across the whole state that got picked as local partnership projects. We're glad we got at least one. We wanted to get two. We're still going to get pushed for the second leg of Mac-Hatcher, the widening of the Northwest as well. And we're going to keep working too to move that up, get it done sooner. On both those projects, we already own the right-of-way. We've done much of the design, and the utilities are already relocated out to the kind of the perimeter of the road footprint. So the things that cost you a lot of time and a lot of money in doing a road projects are getting the right-of-way and getting the utilities where they need to be. And on both legs of Mac-Hatcher, that has largely already happened. So these are about as ready a projects as they can be. We've talked to the state too about an alternative delivery, a design build that will combine those together and hopefully get them done quicker and more efficiently. But we are looking at how we can aggressively deliver on those projects, and the partnership is the best path we can find. It cuts against some of my instincts or my kind of how I was raised about who's supposed to do this. But if we want to get it done for the betterment of the community, this is the rules of the game. And that's what we're doing.
We've got time for one question.
Sure.
Morning. I know the tourism numbers are a little bit suppressed for the beginning of the year for the city of Nashville, at least. I'm not sure if that's statewide. Are we seeing that here in Franklin so far, and how's that going to impact the projections on the hotel tax increase and some of our sales taxes?
Yeah, it's been a little soft, but not terrible for us. Overall, our average daily rate has continued to climb, so that's good. Occupancy has been about stable. It's not increased as much as we'd seen in previous years. We still are beating pre-COVID performances, so we're doing well. It has sort of stabilized right now. Some of that's just the mix of activity and what's going on. We think we'll see that continue to grow and be consistent. But it's not been as strong, but it has not been down. I guess I'd say it's just sort of plateaued right now. I think CVB sees some good things moving forward. We continue to look at how we invest in things that draw people and support that product as well. And having some additional capacity to do it is part of it. One of the things that we're looking at is as we open Pearl Park, and we have the ability to shift sort of the rectangular field sports, football, lacrosse, rugby's even growing to that new park. And that gives us the ability to look at how we reshape the existing parks like Jim Warren to add some additional components there. So that also helps us attract more in the realm of baseball or other things that have been drivers for weekend business especially. Corporate travel's changed a little bit, so that's part of the dynamic that's in place. But we're looking at it and looking at what makes us competitive.
So public hearing tomorrow night, 7 p.m., the County Administrative Complex Auditorium, 1320 West Main Street. people can come and say good things too, right? They don't
They can
just have
say
to come and
anything they want.
complain in a
They
public
got 2
hearing.
minutes to go.
Yeah, it's
It
your
is
budget.
your budget.
And so I would remind people that that is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. But let's thank Eric and Michael for being with us this
Thank you.
morning. So we want to remind you, again, remember the public hearing tomorrow night. But we want to remind you of a couple things coming up. Juneteenth is July 19th, and we'll be with the African American Heritage Society that day for the Juneteenth celebration on 11th Avenue. There will be a breakfast here that morning as well. Next, Frank Talks will be July 14th at the History and Culture Center on Bridge Street. And we're excited to have been invited to be there. We're going to have a People to Know event. So there'll be a panel of some newcomers or leaders in our community that you may not know just as well yet. So we're excited about that. We're going to give you a little secret. Mark your calendars for July 17th. That is going to be, this is Franklin Tomorrow's 25th anniversary. And July 17th is going to be our summer celebration. And we've been working with the Parks Department. And we're going to be at the Bicentennial Park. And we're excited about that. And we have the Exotics are going to be our entertainment that night. So that'll be a lot of fun. And also then in July 29th is Breakfast with the Mayors at Rolling Hills Community Church. And so mark your calendars for that. It's free, starts at 7 a.m. So we're not busy in July or anything. We don't have anything going on. And we appreciate our board and all those who help support us and get us through the season. Frank wants you to take some samples home, so go get a strawberry shortcake and make someone's day and take it with you. And thank you so much for being here this morning, and go out and make it a great day.